Yo everybody, Mobile Gamers Unite here. We are testing out Ashram in Langrisser. The first thing I want to do is test out his ability to come back to life. This guy has a very interesting playstyle. He swaps his skills back and forth. You use his skill, it'll turn into a different one. So just kind of playing around with that. Effectively, he should be able to come back to life multiple times. The thing is, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know if it's glitched or not. I've seen him come back to life 2 times in a row, and then other times it won't work. So I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it. Effectively, this guy is supposed to be able to come back to life multiple times, as long as he has that passive ability up. The thing is, I've just tested it like 5 times. I've got it to work a couple times in a row, and then it won't work. You know, he'll come back to life once, and the second time he won't come back to life, even though he has that passive ability up. So I don't know what's going on. None of these enemies that I'm fighting have the ability to get rid of passive skills. Let's see. He can stun. What about you guys? Can you guys get rid of passive skills? No? What about the mages? Can you get rid of any passive skills? No. You guys cannot get rid of any passive skills. Yeah, nobody here has the ability to get rid of passive skills. So the one time I had both of these decimates up, and he got to die and come back to life 2 times in a row, like he's supposed to. So let's see how it plays out this time. Take this guy out, make some room. Now maybe I shouldn't have done that, because now she's going to aggro some of them. But let's just end our round and see how this goes. Like I said, your boy's confused right now because I watched it work and then I watched it not work. That's kind of an issue, because when you're running a character, you want to know how they work every single time. Like, you don't want variation in the performance. So there, he came back to life once. He used decimate. He used decimate twice. So he did come back to life 2 times in a row. We did manage to prove that. I just wasn't able to get him out of there in time. So, okay, we've effectively caught on recording that Ashram can come back to life multiple times, as long as he has that passive ability up. Because what I did is, I started the fight with Decimate and Counter-Strike. I used Counter-Strike, turning Counter-Strike into Decimate, and then he had 2 Decimate on him. He had it on him twice. Decimate gives you the passive ability to come back to life. Upon taking fatal damage, you come back to life with 20% of your hit points. So he was able to do that twice, which does show that this character can come back to life multiple times. I'm going to keep pretty much messing around with him and exploring how this works, because the other time it didn't work like that. Even though I had Decimate up twice, he still died the second time and didn't come back to life. So I'm going to get to the bottom of all that, but we might as well, since we started off by kind of showcasing that this guy can come back to life multiple times, let's actually look at the character. So I did try to pull for Deedlit. I pulled Ashram 3 times. No luck on Deedlit. I got 2 off banners as well. Got to keep rolling with the punches though. It's all gravy. I decided to make him into a cavalry class because everybody else is making him into a flyer. The thing is, I think he's very effective in this class. He's going to be able to proc the second half of his talent more, because this class is going to give him a higher attack. The flyer class, he's going to have a little bit less attack, but his skill is going to be a lot higher, so the flyer is going to be able to crit more. But effectively, I think this guy's like worth his weight in attack stat, because first of all, his talent, for every 1 block moved, his attack increases by a certain percentage, and his defense, just like Leon, except he doesn't get to run away afterwards, which is why I think he gets to come back to life. Okay. And a lot of times with this character, you wouldn't want him to run away. You would want him to stand his ground and be that meat grinder, because remember, as long as his attack is higher than the enemy's, he will attack first, just like Sakura. So in many cases, you really wouldn't want this guy to retreat. You would want him to stand his ground, especially if you're fighting against close quarters combat enemies, because as soon as they attack you, you get to attack first, and you're probably going to wipe them out before they can even do any damage to you. The other reason I heard people talking about making this character into a flyer is so that he's not weak against Lancers. Here's the thing. You're going to have a higher attack than the Lancers. So even if one of them does attack you, you're going to get all your attacks first. You're probably going to kill all their troops off. It's probably not going to be fatal damage to you. Now, of course, a very powerful Estelle, yeah, she could probably attack this guy with 1600 attack, and you know, even if his, it's very situational. But for the most part, I have to say in Apex, it's all jugglers and Landiuses. It's pretty rare to see another Estelle. I run Estelle myself, but for the most part, you're fighting jugglers and Landiuses. So this guy in his cavalry class can still be very potent, I think. You have to get around the whole movement penalty thing. So this guy really has to run with a strat buff. Unless you have him in his flyer class, then I think he can run around with whatever faction he wants. But obviously, to keep him on his badass looking horse, you are going to want to run a strat buff on him. Alright, so this is sorry guys, it's really dry down here. I know I use that excuse a lot, but it really is. I'm in a basement. Alright, so this is where it gets kind of confusing. I have him set up with Decimate and Counter-Strike. So when you kill somebody with Counter-Strike, it turns into Decimate. And when you use Decimate, it turns into Counter-Strike. So the thing is, you never want to use Decimate and not have another one sitting around, because this is what gives you your passive to come back to life with 20% hit points upon taking fatal damage. So if I use this ability, it's going to turn into Counter-Strike, and then I don't have that passive. On the other hand, if I use Counter-Strike and it turns into Decimate, then I can die 2 times in a row and I will come back to life. So that's what I've been testing out. That's what I've been messing with. It's worked 2 out of 3 times, so I gotta keep testing it. I think that is how it's supposed to work. But this is a new character and this is all new stuff. There might be some glitchy stuff here and there. I'm not sure yet. I did check out all the enemies. None of them should have been able to suppress any passive abilities, so I don't know what happened with some of my runs, because as I just showed, he was able to come back to life twice. That's because he had Decimate up twice. The first turn I moved up and I used Counter-Strike, so Counter-Strike turned into Decimate, which is why he was able to come back to life both times, like back to back, which is pretty cool, considering this guy can also run around with Reinforce, so he can keep himself healed. And also I like his troops. I like running the Undead Knights for him. They have a very high attack. If you don't have to worry about terrain, I think this is the way to run him. Like, you know, everybody else is talking about gargoyles and vampire bats. I'll stick with the Undead Knights. They are able to resurrect themselves too. I do like that about them. They do pretty good damage. They're a pretty hard-hitting troop, in my opinion. Alright, this is like the class stuff I have on him. Really, his attack's not that high. You know, it could be a lot higher. I got 40 out of 80. I'm definitely going to be working on that. His equipment, I have the blood sword on him just because it has a good roll on him. Remember, you want a high attack, so he gets to attack first. At least that's what I want. I went with the carbon fiber and the carbon fiber helm and armor together because when his troops die, effectively, he's going to get 16% more attack and skill. And really, I want that 16% attack because that's going to give him a higher chance of attacking first, like Sakura. I have the Lone Star armlet on him. Obviously, this is just something I had laying around, so I threw on him. I'm going to be replacing this with like a Slayer's emblem or something like that. Obviously, you just want as much attack as possible. This isn't really that great, though, because as soon as any of your allies move within 3 blocks or 2 blocks of you, you no longer get the attack 10% off of this item. So this is something that I'm going to swap, probably for just anything that's going to give him a bunch of attack. That's my suggestion if you're building him like this. I've been running him now for 2 days. I've been having a lot of fun with this character. I just really wish I could nail down exactly how his ability to come back to life works. I do think this character could be very effective in Arena. Nobody really uses him, but that doesn't mean he couldn't be effective because he can come back to life and he can be a meat grinder, just like Sakura. In fact, you can use this guy to be the brunt of your assault team. Even if he dies, he'll come back. Then you can run him away, and even if your healer's busy, he will slowly heal himself up. And then you can wait for his revive to reset, and then you can, engage the enemy again. Obviously, if your attack is high enough, then you're going to get to attack first. And this is really important for this character. I think this guy would only be good in Arena if you had an extremely high attack on him, because let's face it, the units that you're going to be fighting in Arena, they're going to have really high attacks. So this guy is worth his weight in his attack stat. Like, really, I would definitely go for an all-out attack build on him. Like, you see my enhancements, his armor has 4% attack. I gave up 9% hit points and 6% defense just to have 4% attack on his carbon fiber armor. Same thing with his helm. I only managed to get 2% attack and 5 attack, and then I started running out of scrolls, which is why I threw the Lone Star on him, because I already had like 7% attack on this thing. Really, I was just trying to piece together a gear set so I could run him around, and just kind of see how he plays. The blood sword's alright on him. I do want to swap this out with what is it, the Seal Guardian, because that's going to give him 10% attack, but it's not going to do the fixed damage. I do have another Seal Guardian, but it does not have as high of an attack enhancement on it, so I went with the blood sword just to run this guy around. But all in all, I think he's a very badass character because I think he's very overlooked. First of all, his talent is amazing. For every 1 block moved, his attack's going to go up, which increases his chance of attacking first, because the second part of his talent is before entering battle. If your attack is higher than the enemy's, you will attack the enemy first, just like Sakura. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite things in this game. So I decided to actually build this character up. Mine's at 6,000 power level, not too shabby. He was rank 8, but now he's rank 6, so it helps that I did pull 2 dupes of this character. But if we look at everybody else, they're running him as a flyer. Oh, that's right, Lord Skullhell. Props to you, buddy. Lord Skullhell is the only other player that has this guy in his Royal Knight class other than me. Everybody else has him as a flyer. I like to think that Lord Skullhell figured out real quick that he could get around all of the terrain problems by just running this guy with a strat buff. Obviously that's what I'm doing, but if we look at everybody else, they have him as a flyer. That's part of the reason why I wanted to make this vid. I just wanted to remind everybody this guy's going to have a higher attack in his Royal Knight class than he is as a flyer. And if you run him with a Strat Master's buff, well, you get to negate all of the terrain problems. Like, look at that. We just look. Oh, there's another one. 3 out of 20. 3 out of 20. Yep. So all in all, I just wanted to put the good word out. I think this guy can be effective. You know, think for yourselves. Really, this guy is an infantry or a cavalry unit that gets to come back to life multiple times. He gets to attack first like Sakura, and he gets to have reinforce, and he gets to heal himself. I think there's a reason why this guy doesn't get to run away like Leon. A lot of the times you're not going to want him to run away. I want him to hold his ground and take physical attacks from people if his attack is higher and he gets to attack first. That's going to be my strategy. When this character is all built up, I might just try putting him in my Apex box. Nobody's going to expect it. Nobody's going to see it coming because they've already watched a bunch of YouTube videos talking about how this guy's not good for Arena because he doesn't have Act Again and he can't run away like Leon. When, in my personal opinion, he doesn't need to run away. And the whole Act Again thing, there's plenty of characters that we run in Apex that don't have Act Again, right? You can always have Liana act again this guy if you really want to go that route, but I think he could be useful in Arena. It's just going to take the right build. He's going to be worth his weight in attack value. You're going to have, you know, for this guy not to be mediocre, he's going to have an extremely high attack in Arena to keep up with, like, Landius's. Obviously, if you attack Landius, you want to attack first so that Landius only gets to retaliate against you after you've done your attack. That way, you can wipe out all his troops before he gets to attack you. You know, that's the way I see this character working. So, obviously, you're going to have a hard time with Luna, who can get her attack up to 2,500 because it's scaling off of her magic defense. You know, there's always going to be exceptions, but I'm going to see how high I can get this character's attack. I did demonstrate in the beginning of this video how he can come back to life multiple times. I think if you apply that in Arena, it could lead to some victories. I think he's a good juggernaut to go in there, do some good damage. And then, you know, even if your enemy kills him, he comes back, he can run away. You're effectively not at a disadvantage because you didn't actually lose a unit yet. So I think that's why he's important. To me, he's going to be like the first one to lead the assault. Also, Decimate has an amazing break on it. Okay, let's see. When you use Decimate, you attack a single enemy dealing 1.5 times damage, which is nice because his modifiers are 1.5 and 1.7. He can attack with a 1.5, then the next turn he can attack with a 1.7, then the next turn he can attack with another 1.7. He can just continually keep laying down the smackdown with high modifier attacks. Like Leon can't do that right now. On Leon's third attack turn, he's going to have to use a basic attack. This guy doesn't have to do that. He can attack with like a 1.5 or a 1.7 modifier. That's very useful. Like, to be able to throw those modifiers 3 turns in a row like that, I could see that being useful in Arena. Alright, so before entering battle, you gain the Realm of Darkness effect. Reduces the attack and defense of all enemy units within 3 blocks by 10%. I love this. This is kind of like what Bernie has, like an aura around him that breaks everybody. When this guy uses Decimate, everybody within 3 blocks of him gets a minus 10% to their attack and defense, which is really good because that's going to make his attack probably higher than his enemies, right? Like if your attack is around the same as mine, as soon as I use this, you get minus 10% to your attack. Now mine's higher than yours. I'm going to get to do my attacks first, which puts me at a huge advantage over you. On top of that, increase the chance of enemies being critically hit by 10%. Lasts for 2 turns, and he can just run around the battlefield, and anybody within 3 blocks of him is going to be broke with this. and it's going to stay on him for 2 turns. So that last part, 10% increase to chance of being critically hit. In order for your hero to increase their crit by 10%, from my understanding of it, they need to increase their skill by 100. That is huge, especially in Arena where critical hits can take out whole parties. This guy can make everyone that much more susceptible to critical hits. The other thing too is if we look at some of our Arena buffs, a lot of people are using these crit buffs that decrease the chance of being critically hit. They're using that to eat up people's crits in Arena. So this guy can effectively take away like some of these safety crit buffs. Like this thing that gives you, like this might give you minus 10% to being crit. Well, as soon as Ashram uses this ability, you're going to get plus 10% to being crit. So effectively, that's null and void for now. And then somebody like Josh can come up, do one of his crazy AoEs, and hit you with a nasty crit, and with his fixed damage, and that's it. Like, your characters just died because of that. So this guy can effectively make the rest of your team hit a lot harder. I will say this too, this plus 10% to crit, this is also going to make him a lot more potent in his flyer class. When he's in his flyer class, his skill is not a C, I believe it's like an A, so he does have a higher skill as a flyer. He's going to be able to bank off of this 10% crit break a lot better, because he's going to have a higher skill, and then after this break he's going to have 10% more chance to score critical hits. And that's just not just him either, that's like the rest of your team as well. So and then of course after you use Decimate, it turns into Counter Strike, which is a 1.7 times modifier, and as soon as you use Counter Strike and kill somebody with it, it gets replaced with Decimate, which, you know, Decimate also carries the passive to let him come back to life. And I will point out again, if you use Decimate and it's gone, you're not going to be able to come back to life. So when I'm running around with this character, I like to leave Decimate up. You know, I'll start with Counter Strike, because then that'll turn into Decimate, so I can use my other one. But like in the beginning of this vid, when I showed him coming back to life 2 times in a row, like I said, it's because I used Counter Strike, and then effectively I had 2 of these Decimate attacks up, and I procced the passive from each of them, and that's why he was able to come back to life twice, which is more than Vargas can do. So this is my video on Ashram. If I missed anything, guys, the comments are open. He's kind of a difficult character to explain because of how his skills work. Again, I personally am still not 100% sure on some of the combat results I've gotten. I've got this guy to come back to life multiple times, and then just the last fight before this, he only came back to life 1 time. So I have to go over everything again, but in a nutshell, this is kind of how I think he works. I've demonstrated you know, that you can use Counter or Decimate multiple times to come back to life. I'm going to keep researching this, but I wanted to put something out on this character because I don't want people to be sad and upset that they got this guy when they were trying to get D-Lit. This guy is very powerful, okay? He's like the space and time Leon. In fact, I can't wait to play more with him. But for me, I have to have the strat buff on him for the sake of overcoming terrain. But yeah, I absolutely love this character. He's got a little bit of, you know, everything from all the heroes that I like put together. He gets to come back to life. He gets to attack first like Sakura. He gets 1.7 attack modifiers. He gets to, you know, hit with high modifier attacks for 3 turns in a row. And he gets my favorite flyer ability, Reinforcement. What's there not to like? As long as you're running a strat buff on him and you have no problem with terrain, more power to you. I think that's awesome. So the other thing I could do too, I have Breeze on him right now. That was what's recommended for this character. Rough Sea or something like that would actually increase his attack value. I don't know. I don't really want to re-rune this character unless I absolutely have to. I'm going to see where I can go with this build, how high I can get his attack. If it's sufficient, I'll try to run him like that. If not, I can always change a few things up and I can get his attack stat higher than this. Obviously, I still have to do a bunch of enhancements on him and things like that. But I just wanted to put out my perspective on this character because it is different than what everybody else is saying. Most people aren't even showing this character in this class. I think he's a very awesome character, and he looks awesome. So hopefully I don't get any more dupes of him and I can just get Homegirl off of this collab and be done with it. But who knows, I'll be doing more pulls by the end of the week. So anyone that has Ashram, you should be pretty happy. He's an awesome character. Do not just throw him on the bench. Forget about like what you heard off of YouTube or whatever. Actually try running this character, and see what he can do for you because you might just be surprised. All right, Mobile Gamers Unite. Everybody have an awesome day. I wish you all the best luck. Peace, everybody.